Hello everybody, I just blue screened while fighting Abyss Purg. I hope he's really close to dead. Uh, uh... How much health does this guy have? Why did I hit him? Oh, okay. How much damage is that? Can we do that? No, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna get my shit kicked. What the hell? He ain't taking shit from wind. I just gotta hope he doesn't Abyssal Embrace me again. Oh. That's ridiculous. just the raw difference between like having a Vanguard and not. Or not really having, but just being in Vanguard. But again, that's why I always, when I'm doing this stuff, I pack a bow, I have my spear, I have a staff, like, I'm always prepared. Yeah, I'm crashing like crazy. I want to blame all the people that are just standing outside talking. So every time I load in and load out, they're just there, loitering, using skills. Like rifting, basically. Now, if we had redo dungeon in here, oh my god. Are you first aiding too? Oh, they do have a partner character. Oh man. No. That ain't right. Like that whole setting of not seeing other people's characters, that needs to not apply to people in your own party. Cause that's just no one wants to see that. That's boring, man. Did I just go to neutral? That's impossible. I am getting some clutch heals from the party. I like that. I swear I went through him and it pushed me back through him. That's a lot of rewards. You can get marrows? The fuck? I got an infernal marrow. What the hell? How comfortable am I at doing math? It depends on the math, but I'm really good at mental math, at least getting estimations. Like I can ballpark something and then fine tune it after. What's on your mind? You thought about my poll? What's up? Kaito. Hey, Sky. Oh, no, that's a bit different. Like, damage formulas in terms of math, like that kind of stuff I don't really get. Like I always explained how damage works very simply by calling it the Triforce of damage. So like in essence, you have a skills base skill force, which is amplified by your skill force percent, which is then, or no, you have a skills base skill force, and then that is distributed based on its elemental distribution. So you'll have like 30% pierce and 70% fire. And if you have 100 fire, then like 70% of your fire will be added towards that attack, and then 30% of your pierce is added towards that attack. And then that goes towards your skill force of the skill, and then that value will be amplified by your skill force percent, and then your attack is added, your total attack at the time of doing the move is then incorporated or factored into how much skill force you're using to hit the enemy, and how much attack you have over the enemy's defense means you're going to have more armor penetration. Like, those are all the aspects of it, of how damage is done. And then after all of that is calculated, then it factors in, did your attack crit or not? If not, then it does that damage. And then if it did critical, then it'll do 1.7 times value, assuming the enemy has no critical resist. But then if your crit force is, like, let's say 200 or 300, then it'll try to do 3 times or 2 times damage depending on your value. So it produces a product, and then it applies the crit or not based on your crit value of crit rate. But basically, you have a skill, and then you have your skill force, your element, your crit force, They all go into it, and so on and so forth. But like that's in essence how it works. I don't think I could do like a thing like that. But what about the Fallout people talk about? Drawing lines? What do you mean? Like min-maxing? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, well, that depends on the skill you're using. So, I also agree you don't need 250. It helps, but it depends what you're fighting and what you're using. Like, and it depends where you are. Like, if you're doing an Oni mode, your critical value is non-existent, so therefore you can choose to build for more element and attack. As we've seen with attack percent, with the advent of Lion Skull, attack percent alone just shits on like everything else you can do. Because attack percent wasn't really available for a long time outside of like Burais and stuff. But yeah, there are points where things fall off. There are points where, like, and it really just comes down to testing. And because we don't live in a debugger's paradise, you know, I can't say, oh, 50 Pierce on this mag is better than 50 extra skill force, because I'm not about to re-roll something to add Finitum to do that. Like, it's as weird as it is, like, I know there's damage calculations for everything and how things go, but a lot of it's going to come from players' anecdotal evidence from what they've done, what works, what does more, what does less, etc., etc. Like, people have certain builds for certain situations, and I'm still a firm believer that, you know, outside of Oni modes, like, landing a critical hit is still the best you can do, because we have this thing called the damage cap, to where as long as a move or a skill is achieving more than 10 million damage in some way, shape, or form, it is doing good damage. Like, that's literally the metric. That's my metric of if something is doing good damage. Like, the most damage something can do is 10 million a hit. So, if you take a single hit skill and it does 10 million damage, or damage cap, then that skill is at its maximum potential. Where does attack fall off? So, attack doesn't really fall off, because Onigiri doesn't have like an armor piercing stat. So, like, it doesn't have like a separate thing. Like, it doesn't have like this other attribute. It's just attack. Like, you can have, like, realistically, to judge attack, like, let's say, for example, you have a Purgatory Sword, and you Vanguard swap into Keiji with that Purgatory Sword, and you see the damage you do, damage cap, okay. But then you do it with, like, an Oni Dagger. How much damage does she do? Like, the only difference is attack. It has, like, that's the only thing that changes in that equation, because weapon attributes do not translate to Vanguards. Like, you do not get attack percent, you do not get backstrike, you do not get elements from the weapon onto your Vanguard swap. It's just the attack. So, like, that would be, like, one of the best ways to test by using weapons of varying attack to see, you know, how far it goes. Right, so you're looking for the sweet spot of, you know, like, so I would say that, like, skill force cap is 500. Do you need to be at 500 skill force? No, you do not. Like, if you want to see, like, you can see damage caps or 8 million pluses come up pretty regularly with 400 plus. Like, if you're, in my mind, if you're at like 400 plus skill force, that's good. Like, that's great. Like, if your build is like 400 plus, if it's like 450 plus, that's golden. Because that's why I look at a lot of stuff, I'm like, oh, this gives skill force. Who cares? You're generally at max skill force from 3 mags before you even wear your weapon. Like, if you have like 3 reduxes or 3 tempests, like you're at max skill force. That's it. You've done it. You've hit 500. Like, even 3 knowledge mags. A knowledge mag is 150 skill force. 3 of those is what, 450? And then you have your, like, pretty much any weapon that's like 125 plus and you get 50 skill force. Right, like you can definitely exceed 500. And then you're wasting skill force. And that's why it's like I like to say the Triforce of damage, because it's a triangle. Like, if you go all in one direction, the other sides get less. You know, if you all go towards the north, then the east and the west get worse. And if you go all element, then you don't have no skill force. If you go all crit force, well, you know, that's kind of like in the middle. That's like a final product kind of thing. But there's what? Skill force, element, and attack. Well, attack's kind of on top of everything. It's really critical, skill force, and element. Like, critical is the size of the Triforce. Like, it's either going to be like ×1, ×2, or ×3, realistically. So you have skill force, which is just skill force, element, and then attack. Like power, wisdom, and courage, basically. So, like, if you just have, like, I remember in the beginning of the game, like, if you just have, like, attack with no skill force, no element, basically just equipping a weapon, you do nothing. Like, you need skill force. So if you have skill force, you know, you can do decently. If you have skill force and attack, it's good. If you have skill force, element, and attack, you're doing amazing. If you have skill force, element, and attack, and you land a critical, that's awesome. If you have skill force, element, and attack, and you land a critical with crit force, you're doing super good. And then backstrike is a product. It's a damage output multiplier. So I don't know how much it affects things, because, like, the Dark Fin gives, what, 70 backstrike, 60 backstrike, something ridiculous. And then backstrike 7 is only 34. Backstrike 7 is, like, only 34 backstrike. So it's about 30% more damage. Like, any backstrike. Backstrike 5, backstrike 6. Who broke the party? Fucking serious? How did it break? Try one more time. Damn. But yeah, there's definitely sweet spots, and then backstrike is just it's part of damage. It's part of it's damage dealt. Like it's the product. So on top of like everything else you've done, it is like on top of critical. It's hard to say if backstrike is after damage calculation factoring in critical or before critical. I feel like backstrike would be before critical calculation, but I'm not sure. Because I feel like critical is always last. Like you can't just say, "Oh, I'm doing a critical," but then I hit the enemy from behind. It would check, did you hit from enemy from behind first, and then factor everything by 30 before. And then it would determine that hit, and then it would determine if that hit criticaled or not. Like that's kind of how it would go. But backstrike is a lot of damage. The only problem with backstrike is that it is, you know, depending on the enemy, sometimes it's not viable. It's nice to have, but sometimes it's just not realistic. Like against Dragonarchs, it's very good because they have a distinct ass and they do not turn around constantly. Like against someone like Lucifer who's always turning around, or someone like Abyss who's always teleporting and always turning around, or you know, moving and repositioning and teleporting, it's not viable. But against like it's a situational thing. Like Blitz Tiamat, you can definitely get behind Blitz Tiamat. He does not swish and turn around a lot. Like he is, you can safely use backstrike against him. But it's definitely there. Like backstrike is, I remember getting like a time for Satan because I had backstrike. Like backstrike is really, really good. I won't be surprised when they start releasing accessories that have, you know, attack percent, affinity, element, backstrike, critical, cooldown. Like, affinity is a part of it, but affinity is just more attack. Affinity is just your character's, well, affinity with a weapon. Like, it's like when in Wano, when Zoro picked up, like, the suicidal sword thingy, but he was able to use it to beat other swordsmen, because his weapon affinity was just so high. It's like Mihawk with the dagger. Like, that's what affinity is. Mihawk with the little butter knife. That's affinity. But in the sense of the game, it's just more attack. Affinity is attack, but it's attack before attack percent. Yeah, it is a good point you bring up that affinity, it's just attack. Like, you would think the more affinity you have, the, you know, the more you could block with that weapon, the more, I don't really know what you'd call it. Like, I don't even know if Oni would have room for it. It would just be buffs for the sake of buffs. Because weapons already have, like, a set block and stuff. I don't know about bonus damage, but I could see, like, the only thing I could see them doing at this point in the game for weapon affinity would be realistically weapon durability. It would be a weapon durability reduction. Because if you're someone who is very adept with a weapon, are you fucking serious? Oh, I thought I was like I thought the party was broken again. But I could see that. Like, if you're someone who's like good at using a weapon and stuff, like, you would take care of it. You would have your strikes be done in such a way to reduce damage done to the weapon. But I mean, affinity, it's like, I have max affinity with spears. I get an extra 16,000 attack because I've mastered spears. And then if someone who doesn't have any vitality picks up a spear, it's the same weapon, but they're just not as good as it. Or not, they don't have as much strength when using it as I do. Like, it's portrayed perfectly well. But I could see, like, having a high affinity value also lowering the durability that your weapon sustains when you use attacks. I could see that. Because the swords master does not chip his sword, but a novice will break it. He doesn't know how to use it. He's not disciplined. How many runs of this have I done? How much longer is on this boost? 13 fucking seconds. Right. I kind of feel like it's a bit late in Oni's lifespan to try and change the formula for stuff. Oh, never mind. I'm ready. I'm ready for it. What it should be is how much damage you can do over cap. Affinity should affect that. Like, for every 1,000 affinity, it should affect how many 100,000 you can do over cap. That would be good. Nah, man, I don't got a mag for that. But what is the Blaze mag increase? Affinity. That was my last run. My boost ran out, so... Do I have an Abyss mag? No. Abyss mag's not worth it. I have a Dullahan mag. Oh, what? I don't think I got a mag. Probably was treasures, I don't know. Can't buy anything. I hope there's another survey. I hope they keep doing surveys. Can't believe I got an infernal marrow. What the hell? I got 400 treasures, that's it? All that, 400 treasures? Damn. Yeah, that's like the Japanese, like, YouTube sort of thing. I got a Sleet Heart? Oh, Infernal Marrow. Cudgels. Oh, wait. Yeah, I was like, wait, that felt so low for what I did. And that's because they all went to storage. 680, okay. I did an hour's worth. I wasn't really planning on doing any today, but... Oh, yeah? The first month they made 1.7 million? That's a lot of money. Really? I mean, yeah, that can happen. I wish I could make 160k in a month. Fuck. Yeah. End of service, that was it. It's a shame. See, and I think that's one of the things that Oni has over every other gacha game MMO that we have, is that Oni was a fully functional game before they added the realistic gacha aspect to it. Like, Oni had gacha for, like, outfits and oogies. That was it. Like, it wasn't about the characters or nothing else. Like, the end of the day, like, in Oni, you can play it without Vanguards. It doesn't matter. It just expedites everything. Not to say it doesn't matter, but, you know, you can play all the story without a Vanguard. Like, Oni was a complete game with Juncture and all this stuff before Vanguards. Like, people played it for like 3 months without any of that stuff. And that's like, because Oni at its core is a good game. Everything else is just added elements that expand upon it. Which is really the formula for 6S. Am I farming? Nope. Yeah, that's not good. Like every band, like, and in Oni you can't grind OC. You can't. Like, it's you log in, you get some, and it wasn't always like that. So, um, like,